kitchen. So next Tuesday, which is the 5th of March, is one of my favourite days, and this is because in the UK it's actually Pancake Day. So for this week's video tutorial, I thought it only fitting that I show you how to make a cake that looks like a stack of pancakes. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so in order to make our cake that looks like a stack of pancakes, I've just got my cake. So I've just got a 6-inch cake which measures 4 inches in height, and I've already covered this in some light ivory fondant. Now if you want to see a video of how I cover my cakes, then I will put a link in the description below. So for the fondant, I've just used a white which I've coloured in the Wilton Ivory gel colour, and I'm just going to place my cake on top of a drum board. I've just got a 9-inch drum board, and this one just measures a centimetre in height. Now if you're a regular to my videos, you would have seen me cover my boards quite a few times. So I'm just going to roll out some white icing just because I want my board to look a little bit like a plate. I'm then just going to add a small amount of water onto the board just to make that icing stick, and just finish the board off with some white ribbon around the edge, just secured with some double-sided tape. My board is then ready for me to transfer my 6-inch cake onto it. Now we're ready to start making this look like some pancakes. Okay, so in order to make the layers of pancakes, all I've got is some more of that ivory icing, my rolling pin, my craft tool with the point on the end, and my craft knife. Some water which I've just mixed with some icing sugar just to make it sticky, but you can just use water on its own or edible glue. I've then got my ivory food gel, and you can either mix this with alcohol, or I'm just going to mix mine with some rejuvenating spirit. And I've just got a length of ribbon, and this just wraps around the cake just so I know how long my pieces of icing will need to be. So all I'm going to do is just take quite a large lump of that ivory icing, and I just want to start to roll this out into a long sausage shape. Key to making the pancakes look realistic is not having this exactly even. So what I mean by that is you can have some slightly wider sections and thinner sections. Now when you roll your sausage shape out, this is actually going to be used for 2 different layers. I want it to be around 1.5 centimeters in diameter. Use my rolling pin and just flatten that down slightly, just until it's around 5 millimeters. And I'm just going to use my craft knife and just cut that in half. So we're left with 2 pieces. Now you might just want to pop one of those pieces into a plastic container just so it doesn't dry out while we work on the first piece. So all I'm going to do is just start by taking some of that water and just applying that to the outside of our cake. Now I'm going to pick up my strand of icing with the flat side against the cake and just push that into place. When the 2 ends meet, I'm just going to trim those off and just stick those together. Now I'm then just going to use the pointy end of my tool and just go into that icing and just put a few bubbles in there. Now you might just want to put a few lines around the edge. So I'm just popping a few small holes in there of different sizes just to look like that mixture has bubbled. I'm then going to take some of my ivory gel colour just on a small plate, and you may just want to add a small amount of white if your ivory is quite dark. I'm then going to add some rejuvenated spirit to that. With this colour, all I want to try and do is make the top of the pancake look like it's been cooked a little bit more than the sides. So I'm just going to take the colour on my paintbrush and just paint against the edge of the cake and just working my way out to the sides of that icing. Now I'm going to stop when I'm about 1 to 2 millimeters from the edge of that pancake and just paint that all the way around, just so that that colour will peek through when we lay the different levels of pancakes on the top. Now once you're happy with your first layer, all I'm going to do is just add some more of that water to the edge, and just taking the other strip from the one that we made before, I'm just going to lay that on top of the previous layer and join the 2 pieces together. Now you can't see it all the way around, but you can see that you've got some of that colour underneath just poking out, just making them look like your pancakes are stacked together. So I'm going to do exactly the same on this layer. So I'm just going to start by popping in some of those air bubbles, And again, just using some of that ivory colour, I'm just going to go around that top edge. And all we want to do is just work our way all the way up the cake until we get to the top, just adding these layers on in exactly the same way. Okay, so as you can see, we're almost at the top. So I'm just going to add my 13th row. Okay, so now it looks like we've got a stack of pancakes. We're going to add the last one to the top. I'm just going to take another ball of icing. Now this is quite a large ball of icing and is about the same size as the palm of my hand. And I want to make sure that my ball of icing is rolled out into a nice smooth ball. I'm then just going to use my rolling pin and just start to flatten that down. Just moving it around as I go, just to make sure that it stays circular. I'm just going to pop some more of that water just on the top of my cake, just so it will stick. Just lay that on the top. So once you're happy with that top pancake, I'm just going to go in to the edge of this one, just as we have with all of the others. I want to go in and just colour that top section, but for this one, instead of just going around the edge, I just want to colour in the whole top, just making sure that I stay a few millimeters from the edge, just as I have with all of the other ones. Once the top of your pancake has been covered, you're left with this nice stack of pancakes. The next thing that we're going to do is just add some small pieces of butter to the top. Okay, so for the butter, I've just got this piece of icing or fondant that I've coloured in this yellow colour. I'm then just going to roll that out until it's around 5 to 6 millimeters in height. So you've got quite a chunky piece, and I'm just going to cut out 2 rectangles. I'm going to go around the edge of these and just soften that edge just so it looks like a little block of butter. I'm just going to place these in the center of the cake. Now I'm just going to leave this to one side, and all I want is for this color on the top of the cake just to dry completely, just so that when we add our piping gel on top to look like the maple syrup, it's not going to pull any of that color down with it. Okay, so in order to make some blueberries, I've just got this modeling paste here. Now I've colored this with some black, some grape purple, and some navy blue. So I'm just going to take a small lump of that, just the size you would normally get a blueberry, and I'm just going to roll that out into a really smooth ball. I'm then just going to flatten that down slightly. I've then just got my ball tool here, so I'm just using the smaller end, and I'm just going to push that into the bottom. I'm then just going to take a pair of tweezers and just around that dent that we've created, I'm just going to pull some of that modeling paste out. You can then just flatten it down slightly and turn it over so that that is at the bottom. I'm then going to use this cone tool that just has these spikes on there, and I'm just going to pop a little dent in the top. So on this plate I've just got some shadow grey and some eucalyptus edible tints, and I'm just going to take a very small amount just on the end of my paintbrush and just dust that off, and in places just pop that onto our blueberry. So I'm going to make a few of these in exactly the same way, and they don't have to all be exactly the same size. And when you're done, you should have a nice handful of realistic looking blueberries that we can add to our pancakes. And I'm just going to use some edible glue and just add those to the top of our cake, and just a few of them around the board. Okay, so now our blueberries have been added onto the cake. The last thing that I want to do is add some maple syrup. Now I'm not going to use actual maple syrup, I'm actually going to use piping gel. So all I've got here is just a tub of piping gel, and I'm just going to take some of this in a glass. I'm then just going to take a small amount of that ivory food gel that we've been using and just colour that piping gel so that it's the same colour as maple syrup. And all I'm going to do next is just pop this into a piping bag just so I can pipe it over the top of my cake and just drip it down the sides. I'm then just going to start piping that out and just pulling it away with the end of that piping bag. And once I reach the sides, I'm just going to pipe some of that down the edge just so that it falls down the cake. Once you're happy with the positioning of all that piping gel, here we have the finished cake that looks like a stack of pancakes covered in blueberries and maple syrup. I really hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial and will enjoy eating pancakes on Pancake Day. If you have enjoyed the video, then don't forget to give it a like. And if you'd like to see lots more videos like this, then don't forget you can subscribe to the Cakes by Lyn's YouTube channel. You can also hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button, and this will just alert you every time a new video is uploaded. I'll also put a link in the description below to all my social media so you can head over and follow me there. So until next time, bye!